And I hope I'm not being naive about it. Pretty serious.
We've got
It's darker in here. I got 210. What you got, bro? Yeah, 210, they said. Remember?
Yep. That's tradition around here to do that.
You gotta be kidding.
All right, mic on.
Do we have any public comment?
Can you hold on just 1 second?
Sure can. Sure can. I heard somebody coughing. I don't know about that coughing now. I'm just saying. All the toilet paper just left the shelf.
You have to be an narcissist to run for that job. Dude, you have to be. Who else would subject
Caleb, things good? Okay.
I'll go tomorrow.
To sit there
Come on, man.
Good evening. Thank you for coming. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Want to keep time with your time. I know is valuable, as is the whole world this day and time. We're going to call it to order. Thank you for coming from there. It is our tradition to stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Gentry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If we could have a moment of silence to remember all the issues that are going on here and around us, with not just with the virus, but other things. If you would just give us a moment of silence. Thank you. Gentlemen, the agenda is in front of you. I know you've read it. We've gone through it. Could I have a motion to approve? Make a motion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, right hand. Our agenda is set and approved. Our first item will be the approval of the minutes for February the 5th, 2020 special, February 11th minutes, February 18th, February 25th special. Will someone take a look or tell me if you are ready to approve that?
I'll look through them. I'm ready to approve it.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, right hand. Thank you, gentlemen. Public comment. We have one person, George Bodinger? Bodiger. I'm so sorry, sir. Please, please go. Glad to have you, sir. Our rules are pretty clear. Speaking to the microphone, good sir, and I think we have only 45 minutes per. I'm sorry, it's 3 minutes. Just kidding.
Are you keeping? I have a message.
Okay.
You gonna keep timer? You want me to keep timer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Andy. Okay, thank you.
You want one?
Is the microphone up there, sir, for you to? Because it'll be hard.
Yeah, perfect.
You won't go out on the broadcast if you're not talking in the microphone.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is George Bodiger, and I am on the board at the Marshall Fire Department. And our fire departments are going through a lot of changes, which will start this year. And the changes are moving the fire departments from voluntary to employee paid. And the issue that I wanted to speak to you all about is the fire protection tax issue. Now, I laid out to you the fire district map, and it shows the open space from the black line to the maroon line are citizens that are not paying the protection tax. Everyone in the center, in the black line, are paying taxes. And the problem we're having, as you move to a employee paid and also 24/7, the cost of your facilities goes up. And we've got a shortfall that is going to be a lot of pressure on the department.
Sure.
And so I wanted to bring this up. Somewhere along the line, there was a political decision, I guess, that these people did not have to pay. But we would like you to consider changing that.
Thank you, sir. Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
very
sir.
much.
Willa Wyatt, Friends of the Marcel Anderson Rosenwald School.
We don't have Tammy, Cody?
Did I miss?
Yeah, you missed Tammy.
Well, she just came.
But she's now
Oh, I'm
just
so
arrived.
sorry. You go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm working off of an old agenda, and Tammy was added. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Sorry, Tammy. I hi-hatted you. Sorry.
No problem.
Greetings from the Friends of the Marcel Anderson Rosenwald School, and I appreciate having the opportunity to share some information with you and answer any questions that you might have regarding the funding request that we have presented to you. But I would like to give y'all some goodies.
Awesome.
Just pass them down. We are very privileged and proud to be able to share this presentation magazine with you. And there's some information inside strategically placed at page number 10. And I hope you enjoy reading that article and seeing how the Rosenwald School has received national attention here just lately, not only through the National Trust Grant that we got, but through the Preservation Magazine. So I'll take questions that you might have regarding the grant application.
Well, if you'd be kind enough to give a little bit of the backstory, if you would. I think a lot of people here may not know the backstory to this.
Okay, I'll be glad to. Of course, you know that the Marcel Anderson Rosenwald School is so named because in 1928, the Madison County superintendent requested from the state of North Carolina Rosenwald funds to remodel the old existing school, which was called Long Ridge Colored School. Even back further than that, Julius Rosenwald and Booker T. Washington, through Booker T. Washington's vision for how he wanted black children to have new schools to be educated in, partnered with Julius Rosenwald, who was a member of the advisory board at Tuskegee University. And at Tuskegee, Julius Rosenwald had given Tuskegee University some money to upgrade their buildings so that black children could have a better education, higher education. And when they finished with their building program, there was money left over. So Booker T. Washington asked Julius Rosenwald, who's the founder of Sears and Roebuck, big philanthropist from Chicago, if it would be okay if they used the money that was left over from the Tuskegee project to build some new schools for black children in the surrounding areas. And that was granted. And it was so successful that through the vision of Booker T. Washington and through the funding capabilities of the Rosenwald philanthropy, this program was started in the early 1900s, where school systems could apply for Rosenwald funds, and if you were approved, this is the way it operated. I'll give you our numbers. Our school cost $2,100 when it was built. And the school system put in $750. The local black citizens in the local community had to give a third, which is about $750. And originally, because our school was being considered a one-room, two-teacher school, we were to be eligible for $500. But over a period of about 4 or 5 months in correspondence, a letter comes from the folks in Raleigh, from the Rosenwald funds, recommending that the school in Marcel get $750 because Madison was a backward county. Some of our folks took issue with that, and so being a retired school person, I said, you know, we kind of like being called low wealth. You got more money when you were low wealth, but backward had nothing to do with wealth. It had all to do with your black population within your county. And because we had such a low black population, then we were eligible for funding and a half. So it's like $750, $750, $750. So that's how our funding came about. So we got Rosenwald funds. So because we were funded with Julius Rosenwald funds, it's considered a historic building, because in 2002, let me go back, there were over almost 5,800 buildings, either small schools like ours, high schools, industrial schools, or what they call teacherages, which is where they had to recruit teachers to come in and teach in the black community, so they had to have a place for those teachers to live, so they built teacherages, that's what it's called. And out of those 5,000 plus, North Carolina had more buildings than any other of the states, starting with Maryland, coming southeast and going across to Texas. So that's what it got, the southeast, and I guess the eastern side of Texas. I'm not really sure how they consider Texas in the east, but we're glad they did. So and right now there are about 129 Rosenwald schools left standing in North Carolina, and our school, and it's your school, is the only one left standing in western North Carolina. There's 26 counties, and what it is, we look at the Blue Ridge Heritage Service Area, and after we have talked about it, they have found one in Burke County, but it is really beyond being repaired. So, connection with Julius Rosenwald and with this grant application, or this funding application. Julius Rosenwald's great-great-great-granddaddy's daughter went to school in Chicago, and her PE teacher from middle school lives in Asheville. Go figure. So as we have done programs around the area, and especially at the UNC Ollie program, we have become well acquainted with Mr. Berkeley. And he has kept in contact then with Ann Hess, Julius Rosenwald's great-great-great-granddaughter. And in the last few months, she has agreed that she would like to give us $2,500 if we could get a match. So, in thinking with the Friends group, and let me share with you, we don't do a thing till we talk it to death. Literally, we discuss everything, lots. But we decided that it was time for us to come forward and make ourselves known publicly to the county commissioners and as a group, of course y'all have heard about us forever, and give you an opportunity to consider some financial support. Of course, you're aware that we got the $50,000 trust from the fund from the National Trust, which boosted the rehabilitation unreal. And then we've had funding from the state, and we've had funding, and in your packet, you've got a breakdown of the different kinds of funding that we have had. On the agenda sheet, I thought you'd see that. You can see we have regular monthly meetings and how we go. And on that, you've got the total amount that we have spent so far. And for those of you in the audience, the building cost $2,100 and the windows to replace cost $26,000.
Yes.
Luckily, we got a Covington grant for $24,000.
You have to do it a certain way.
And we went to town getting windows put in because we got a roof on first. We put that out for bid, and we had $10,000. The Conservation Trust had offered us, said they would give us $5,000 if we could get a match, and the school system immediately said we'll match it.
Yes,
So we
we
put it
did.
out for bid. The bids came in $13,000 to $26,000 to put a roof on the building. So, and Lawrence Ponder at that time was in the contracting business, and so we went to Lawrence and said, Lawrence, would you start? And knowing we only have $10,000 now, and let us do a special fundraising, and we'll raise $3,000 more. We'll give it some way. And he said, sure, he'd go ahead, but let him do a little bit of figuring. And he came back at the next meeting, and his bid was $9,400. So we had, the Conservation Trust gave us half, and the school system gave us half, and we got the roof on the building, which saved the building. I mean, it was just about on, but I would encourage each of you to go online and Google Anderson Rosenwald School. Our whole life stories in front of you. Everything we do is on there. Our webmaster is Simone Boyer, who also is the webmaster for the Chamber of Commerce, and she does lots of things. She up and moved to Florida, but we don't let her quit helping us. So she does an excellent job. So is that enough to share with you? Probably more than you wanted to hear.
No.
But that brings us up to date. So here we are asking the county commissioners if you would consider and like to be a part of that recognized funding group for the $2,500 match for Ann Hessett's challenge grant, for lack of a better word.
There are numbers that are available and everybody can look at these. But so far, this group has raised $144,150. And you have not come to us yet.
That's right.
And in-kind contributions of $250,000 on top of that. Okay? But thank you, Willa, and I did not want folks in the room who might not have the backstory because there is a substantial, you very abbreviated it, so you were not too long at all.
Okay, thank you.
So
Yes, ma'am.
you give us a sheet that has all this is money that has been given for the school.
Yes.
Okay, that totals up to $471,150. And you say you spent $184,354.
Is that what you're looking at from the,
Yeah,
I
on
don't
the
have the
total
minutes?
expense. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then
that's
you
what we
say
got.
you have a balance of $3,226.
That's right.
Well, looking at this, there's roughly nearly 200,000 somewhere
That was in
You
kind.
can't,
In kind.
can't do that.
in kind.
Yeah, just in-kind labor, equipment,
Yep.
professional services. People
Yep,
have
so
already donated those services.
Wasn't money there.
Yeah.
So
We have, the architect, Scott Donald, has donated all of his services. It's
Yeah.
not charged a penny for it. Simone has not charged anything, no one has charged us anything for professional services so far.
That's awesome.
And we had, for those of you who don't know, we started this in December of 2009. So we've been at it now 10 years. And we
Wow.
celebrate lots of milestones. We would love to get it, once we get the certificate of occupancy, any of you can come or call me, and there's a little brochure outside, and say, I want to go see it, and we take you in, but to have a designated meeting until we get a certificate of occupancy, we cannot do that. But when we do, we would hope that you could have a work session or whatever you want to have there, because it will hold 75. And you just have to have seen it before. See it now.
You've got pictures of that, I'm sure.
We have. We found one, the worst picture that we could possibly find was the best picture that we could possibly find. And we found it, I don't know anything about Pinterest, but one night I thought, I don't know, I was looking, old school pictures on Pinterest. First one comes up is our school. And that's when the trees were growing up through the sides and you could see the tier poles. right before it almost went to nothing, it was a Burley tobacco barn. And the next door neighbor went in, took all the windows out, put up tier poles and hung Burley tobacco in it for years. We don't know how long. But, yeah, and all those pictures are on the website, so.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.
Any further discussion?
Are we going to discuss this now, gentlemen? You want to, our next meeting, or are we ready to vote now, or?
Mr. Chairman?
Well, is this, no, I've got a question, actually.
Go ahead, Matt.
So my question is, you know, we have a process
Correct.
that when we consider our overall budget for the county.
Correct.
And that's when we have considered nonprofit requests in the past.
There's a form, correct.
Well, right, and I see the form, but what I'm saying is, I guess the request is that this be done instantly versus this is not a request to be included in next year's budget. So am I correct in that assumption?
What Ms. Willa?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've already budgeted for nonprofits in this year's budget, is my point. I'm putting it out there, guys. So,
Willa, is there a specific time frame here that would endanger that grant from the family?
Yes.
That was my understanding, yes.
Well, let's have a discussion then. I mean, I've heard Commissioner Wexler on that. That's a valid point. What else, other
Well,
comments or suggestions?
I agree with Matt. We have a process and it's in the budget, so, you know, if it's, can you go and request extension on the time?
Well, I'm sure you would.
Gentlemen?
What's the date now?
What's the date now?
For
what's the deadline?
the deadline date?
Well, the last request I had from her was that she wanted us to give a specific project that we would address that money to. So we have addressed painting, so that's what we would do. You know, we can use the money anytime, no doubt about that, but the major need is now. But I understand the process, and you know, we can always apply the money whenever we get it. If we get any from the county, we can certainly apply it at any time.
But would after our next budget, which is July 1, correct?
Correct.
Start?
Yes.
Would that be too late? I guess what I'm
Well,
asking.
it's never too late to get money. It would just be too late to address
To match.
the project that we had hoped to
To
address.
address the specific project they'd like to devote the funds to, right?
That's right.
So,
Because without the painting, we cannot get the certificate of occupancy. We've been just
Right.
working on things. So that was the reason for bringing it.
and my only concern about it, and the reason why I bring up process and procedure is we open the door for all the other nonprofits that we currently support to come for emergency funding. We open the door for nonprofits that we do not currently support to come back and, or to then reopen the door so that every month now we're going to have another nonprofit that's going to be saying, hey, we need this in order to get a matching grant or whatever the situation is. I'm not saying the project is not worthy, by no means. And matter of fact, Willa, in order to show support for your project, I'll personally offer to donate money.
I will too.
But it's not, now is not the time for this board to address this, in my opinion. Because we have a budget structure, and I think we need to abide by that structure unless we have a true emergency on our hands, which we may be facing a true emergency in the immediate future.
Well, let me make this suggestion. I think, Matt, you have just solved the conundrum. If you'll do half of it, I'll do half of it, and come back next year and put it in the budget. right?
I'll do 500.
I'll do five.
Whoever,
right.
okay, let's solve this, okay? And
we
then,
appreciate that. We just, we have talked and decided that at some point we needed to get the county commissioners involved in this because, you know, we receive funding nationally and state and so we, at whatever point you all feel that you can fund or consider, we'll be glad to come back and it would be great. We can always take money.
I think from my perspective, and I agree with my fellow commissioners on this, and I usually do, I think we all want to go on record saying we support this, and I would like to do it, but also I understand I have, in my short time as chair, I have seen the budget. It's not a pretty issue, and so I have to be very careful what I say as it goes through. I mean, I got 18 years on the school board. I mean, you've been doing this for 10 or 12 years. It's a wonderful thing. I too will put in. I just have to see how much I got left of my cat cemetery. Mike's laughing at me, but he knows where I'm going with this. So could we say as a board that we are inclined, not in stone, but we're inclined for next year's budget, at least to put this on there as a possibility for one of our nonprofits?
Sure.
yes,
In the budget, yes.
yes.
Okay.
And in the interim, you will get your pie chop.
So we're gonna put this on for consideration for our next budget, and I think I'm pretty confident that will go. And from there, we'll take care of it the other way, in the lobby.
Okay, and then just, you have a brochure and all of our printed materials. So if
Yes.
you would like to make a contribution, it's all goes to the Madison, the education foundation. And we just thank you for this.
Yes, in case people don't understand, citizens of Madison County own this school. Yeah, this is still owned by all of Madison County, and it's actually under the jurisdiction of the school system.
Correct.
So, yeah.
And believe me, I know what you're talking about when you say the budget looks dire.
You sat through those meetings, Willa.
Well, I know. And then ours too, you know, when we look at the budget for the Rosenwald school, and we think, oh gosh, we're so grateful for every penny we get, and when we're trying to slash your project, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Willa.
I did
Thank you, gentlemen.
did not mean to, but I passed over. I had an earlier version of the agenda. I didn't get the new one. Tammy Cody, our wonderful health director, is here to talk to us about something not so pleasant.
And something that was costing money too.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, County Commissioners.
Good evening, Tammy.
I am standing before you tonight as your county health director and also someone who's lived in Madison County their entire life. I say this to note that I understand our county, our communities, our culture, and take the health care of all of our residents very seriously. Several staff at the health department have been actively involved with discussions at the state level and with the CDC for about 2 months. We've been reviewing and updating our policies. I'm not here to scare you or to tell you you have nothing to worry about. I am here to ask for your help in slowing the spread of the COVID-19 virus and to tell you to be prepared to the best of your ability. There are various coronaviruses, one being the common cold. COVID-19 is a new strand of the coronavirus. There are still many unknowns about it. What we do know about respiratory infections is that frequent hand washing is one of the best defenses. Please wash your hands more frequently than normal. COVID-19 can live on surfaces, so you should thoroughly clean all surfaces, especially those that are touched frequently, like door handles, light switches, handrails, and our telephones. If you are sick, please stay home and don't expose others. If you've not had your flu shot or your pneumonia vaccine, please do so. While they will not help with the COVID-19 virus, you absolutely do not want to try fighting the flu or pneumonia at the same time as COVID-19. It's not too late for that. Everyone who has the capacity should plan now in case someone in your home develops the flu, it is flu season, or COVID-19. You need to have plans for childcare should you become very sick for several weeks. You need to identify friends who could feed your pets. Consider stocking a thermometer, some over-the-counter meds to help with fever and cough syrup. You also want to consider foods to eat while ill, such as soup and Gatorade. The governor declared a state of emergency today. After his press release in Raleigh, he and Dr. Tilson, our state health director and chief medical officer, flew to Asheville and met with the health directors of Western North Carolina, one of the reasons I was a little late getting back. By declaring a state of emergency, we will be able to access some emergency resources. The state has opened up their Emergency Operations Center, and both emergency management and public health are working side by side in the EOC. The state COVID-19 call center received 324 calls yesterday, with that number anticipation of it increasing daily. There are now close to 1,000 confirmed cases in our nation and 29 deaths. We have 7 confirmed cases in North Carolina. I suspect that we have many more cases that's just not confirmed. The state lab is currently testing 44 more tests and 25 waiting to be tested. One of the most concerning aspects of COVID-19 is that many folks do not know they're infected for up to 5 days, and some don't have serious health issues at all, so they're going to be out and about potentially exposing others. This is a serious medical situation. We should anticipate that many of our residents will become infected. Dr. Tilson stated today that reviewing the information that's available, 80% of those with COVID-19 do not require medical care. They can stay home, they may feel yucky for a period of time, but they will not end up needing medical care. The other 20% do require medical care, with many of these becoming critically ill. We must do all that we can to protect our at-risk citizens. So some people that maybe aren't worried, let's try to go back to that hand washing and making sure we're covering our coughs. It's just super important. The state lab should receive many more test kits in the upcoming days. There's been some difficulty getting test kits here. The process of covering tests for the uninsured and eliminating co-pays is in process now. The governor stated it was essential that all residents do not delay seeking care due to financial hurdles, as that would have a negative outcome for everyone, the patient and those that are being exposed around them. The state is strongly recommending that all residents 65 and older or with underlying health conditions avoid large gatherings and closely evaluate any outings and being in contact with others who could be sick. While the others can fight this off, our older population and those with underlying health conditions will have a very difficult time fighting it off. The state's working to allow residents the opportunity to purchase prescription medications for several months to keep folks out of drugstores every month. They're also working to open up options to use telehealth and phone health options to keep our older population out of physicians' offices for their blood pressure medications and things that there's no point in going in for. They're trying to look at options for insurances to cover these. Communication is essential, and we need to use all options possible. You may have noticed articles in our local papers, the last 2 weeks. In front of you, commissioners, you have a draft of a reverse 911 call I would like to place in an attempt to communicate with our residents who do not have internet in their homes. We realize communication can be a challenge for some of our residents. You have 2 documents that I would like to send to all county employees in regards to COVID-19. And there's a 1-page flyer that I would like to begin posting in all possible locations of our county. Thinking of Ingalls, CVS, the libraries, and it's basic information on prevention, what to do if you think you're sick. So we want to make sure that everyone is exposed to this information. We held a meeting last week with our community partners and invited our state preparedness consultants to talk with us. Today we began our EPI team meetings. These will be held weekly until the situation changes. We're working closely with all of our local partners. And I know you've heard this many times, but it's truly a rapidly changing situation. So I don't know, I was seeing some, maybe you didn't have the documents. I can pass these down, Mr. Laws. I got some repeat today. But would like your permission and discussion on sending an email out to county employees. And I've talked with our IT department. They have the ability, with your permission, to push out a screensaver that just has some basic information and reminders on it. I think one of the best things we can do is just constantly keep this in front of everyone. But the next couple months may be interesting for us.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have tests available now if someone needs tests?
So the state lab has 300 tests, and they have had some limitations with resources of personnel and getting access to the test. For health departments that need to do tests, we ask for permission from the state, but if they are overwhelmed and not able to, we can look at using private labs. The cost is very expensive, but if we were weighing the option of someone potentially having this and living with people who were at risk, I think the cost would outweigh that. So we do have the ability to talk with the state. There has been limitations up until hopefully next week. They will more freely be able to work with us, but we have a workaround should we need it.
Okay. And if someone's tested, how soon do you get the results?
If the state is testing, we should be able to get that back within about 24 hours. With the private lab, it's taken about 2+ days.
All of this stuff looks really good, Tammy, and thank you for your leadership on this and for everybody else in our healthcare community. And I, for one, think that everything that you've got there would be appropriate. Let everyone else also take a look and to get this expedited as soon as possible.
Thank you. We'll have some staff start tomorrow with posting just the flyers up of where to go should you have questions. And while we are happy to field questions, we have a very small staff to be doing the work, and these in-home tests that need to occur, if our staff are out doing those, answering the questions at the health department's difficult, so that EOC that's open with the state, they have 20 folks manning that, so maybe
Excellent.
Some of those questions can be directed there, and it is on the flyer.
Okay.
Right. And we do have some added expenses in my budget under materials. We have ordered some extra personal protective equipment that's been required to do any testing.
So if you have to go on a home or those sorts of things?
Yes.
Okay.
You able to find the PPE?
They have been rationing that for about a month, but there's limits about how often you can order. So
Understood.
once the time frame's up, we reorder and have ordered gowns and things that we've previously not needed. We do have those now.
In our first session, you said something that I thought was also needs to be said now, is to remain calm. Don't go overboard until we need to.
Absolutely.
This is not the time.
That's right. I think if you'll allow me just another moment, I shared in our first meeting that at the beginning of winter, I start preparing for winter. And I don't know if it's going to be a bad winter or not a bad winter, but I pack a bag to put in my car. And that way, if I were to end up on the side of the road, I have some walking shoes and a scarf with me. And that's where we are right now with COVID-19. It's wintertime, and we need to pack our bag and be ready. We don't necessarily, I don't have a crystal ball, and I hope a month from now we're not talking about this. But odds are we are going to be talking about it. But don't run out and hoard things you're not going to use. But at the same point in time, don't take for granted you can run down to Ingalls and pick up Tylenol. If Ingalls gets hit really hard and they've lost a lot of their staff and the delivery folks have lost some of their staff, things may be a little more difficult to find. And if you're sick, who wants to run out? Let's have some things on hand now.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.
Our next agenda item is Layne with Asheville Buncombe Technical Community College. Welcome, sir.
Good evening.
Oh, good evening.
Welcome.
Well,
Thanks for coming.
thank you for having me. My name is Layne. I'm the Dean of Academic Success and Public Service at AB Tech. I was asked to come here and formally request a letter of support for starting an agribusiness program, specifically housed at Madison High School to begin with. And if this grows, it will always trickle out to the other campuses in our service area.
Do you have a form or do you need us to create such a letter?
Please just create such a letter. It just needs to be very succinct, brief, stating the commissioner's support of AB Tech's offering this program within our service area. And all I brought was an old business card. The new one with my current title has not been printed yet.
Okay, all right.
Do we need a motion on that?
I'll be happy to make such a motion.
Okay. Would you please?
Yeah, I move that Madison County Board of County Commissioners present a letter to AB Tech supporting the new agriculture program that will be started at Madison High School and then rolled out to the rest of the AB Tech community.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for bringing the program to Madison County.
Oh my goodness, it is a pleasure.
Yes.
Come back again with other programs. We'd love to have them.
I will ask that everyone in this room think about what you think would support the county, support your citizenry, support your students.
That's awesome.
And we would love to chat with you.
That's a very good thing.
Thank you.
I'll be on the phone. I'll be on the phone with you. Thank you. Thank you.
Wayne, you sat on that board, and you know the history.
Yeah.
So if you want to speak to that for just a minute or two, to bring the folks in the room again up to speed of how much effort's gone in to get to this point.
Well, we have had, well, not I personally, but there's been numerous meetings, lots of meetings with, I think, Ron, you've been involved in them, and Francis Ramsey, and several people upon our board. And to help the people here in the county with this, for the agribusiness program you have, that you're wanting to help us and do here in the county. What is your projection on the first year?
With anything with AB Tech and anything that involves growing the program, basically we're going to start small, try to get a small cohort of students We have a lot of flexibility built into this program. We've listened to Ross at Madison County High School. He helped create this curriculum. And if we need to adapt, grow, amend, we have the flexibility to do so. And our goal is eventually to start with a small cohort of students, go to a slightly larger cohort of students, and keep going from there. Listen to the needs, see what opportunities present themselves, offer enough courses within this program that are actually transferable to a four-year institution if a student would wish to do that. Most of this can be done so that a student will be able to complete a certificate at least, and hopefully be able to produce a living wage out of such an effort.
Thank you. I knew he could better explain it than I could. That was great. Thank you.
Our next item is Kate with Community Action Opportunities.
Hi.
Hey.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey there.
So I am here on behalf of Community Action Opportunities, which serves 8 counties in western North Carolina. 6 counties of those 8 are served by our LifeWorks program. LifeWorks is a long-term, holistic, self-sufficiency case management program. And so what that essentially means is that we're here to help people move out of poverty through education, full-time living wage jobs, and then helping people learn how to manage their funds, their incomes, how to raise their credit. We do a lot of financial capabilities work. We submitted to you all for your review our fiscal year 2021 CSBG, which is the Community Services Block Grant application. We are designated by the governor to be a CSBG recipient. So these funds are not competitive. It's not like CDBG funds where anyone can apply for them. We, as a community action agency, are allowed to apply for them, and we have to apply for them every year. So we submitted to you all for your review our annual grant application, which goes to the state. A couple of things to highlight on there specific to Madison County. The last 2 pages of that almost 60-page document highlight some of the pieces of our budget, including the county allocation, which for the fiscal year 21 was $46,425. We are projecting that we're actually going to spend $47,264, so slightly higher than what we were budgeted. So basically we take some of the funds from our other counties and put them where we need them so that we can provide the services needed here in Madison County. Also of note, our office is here in AB Tech campus with NC Works. We are projecting next year that we're going to serve at least 11 families, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's really intense case management. And so we're working with families really closely for a long period of time. So we keep our caseloads intentionally really low so that we have the time to work deeply with families over time. Those are some of the brief highlights, if you all have any questions.
How long have you been doing this in Madison County?
So we have been, Community Action Opportunities used to be called, I might botch this, but the Opportunity Corporation of
Yes.
Buncombe and Madison County.
Yes.
So we actually began business back in 1964.
Right.
We're part of Lyndon B. Johnson's War on Poverty.
Yep.
And the current kind of model of LifeWorks has been in existence since the early 90s.
Yeah. But the history of this goes back to 1964.
It sure does.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you very
well
much.
done for a very long time.
Thanks so much.
Gentlemen, there's no action required by us, so we'll go on to our next one.
Thank you.
Mr. Mark Cody, our new county manager. Mark Pulliam is going to handle this for us there. So if you haven't met him yet, here's our new county manager.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, you have before you here a lease for 9 parking spaces in Marshall. This is necessary to address severe parking problems for members of the court as well as the judge. And so it's $250 per month for 9 spaces located near the Methodist Church there, and it will alleviate the problems that they are having there. So I recommend that we approve this.
Thank you. You've heard from the county manager. Could I have a motion to approve?
Okay, quick point of clarification real
Okay.
quick.
Point of-
We've been talking about 9 spaces, but it says 10 in our paperwork. Are we getting 10 or 9?
That's a good question. I noticed that.
That's 10.
There's 9 on the drawing, and the lease calls for 9. There are 9 spaces. I know that the memo that covers this indicated 10, but to
Okay.
clarify, it's 9.
Okay, so we have verified that it's 9.
Yes.
Very good, thank you.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor? Right hand. Thank you. Brooke Ledford. Good evening.
Good evening. The Madison County Transportation Authority has a proficiency review by the NCDOT on March 31st. In preparation for this review, the Transportation Authority has updated several policies and plans to ensure it is in compliance with DOT requirements. 3 policies have been updated, and the systems and safety plan has also been updated. Updates include program representatives have been updated to show current commissioners and staff. Call numbers have been updated to show current staff. The service policy has been updated to show the correct hours of service. Training has been updated to include the training that we use and that is currently required. Systems and safety plan intro pages has been updated to show current staff. Systems and safety plan appendix E has been updated to show the actual location of the fire extinguisher. Systems and safety plan preventative maintenance plan has been updated to reflect the practices the Transportation Authority utilizes for maintenance. The new policy includes soliciting public comment. The policy states that when the Madison County Transportation Authority plans to increase fares or make changes to service, it will solicit public comment by putting it on the agenda for the Board of Commissioners, which will follow public comment procedures. The Madison County Transportation Authority requests that these updates be approved by the board to ensure that we are in compliance with DOT requirements.
So you're looking for us to approve the updates and the new one-year policy?
Yeah.
Okay. Gentlemen?
Mr. Chairman, if no discussion, I move that we approve the updates and the new policy.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you, Ms. Ledford. That brings us to Terry Bellamy. Good evening.
Good evening.
Terry.
Just a second, I need to turn on the projector and
Okay. Will you need us to move a little bit or something, or?
you all are aware of what I'm presenting.
Okay, all right, well, I don't want to be a star, so I'm gonna.
You don't want to be in the show?
No.
Good evening, Chairman, Goforth, and members of the Commission. Tonight, I'm here to present 3 items. Technology is going to take just a moment to pause and make sure everything's in place.
Always.
I think I might have to stand behind this location and make it a little bit easier. Item A, the Anderson Rosenwald School Digital Literacy Training Funding. Item B, the Madison County Manufacturing Art Park. And item C, the Economic Development Strategic Plan. In May of 2019, Madison County received 2 grants totaling $100,000 from the state of North Carolina's Department of Natural and Cultural Resources as part of the Hometown Strong funding to address the digital divide and homework gap for students in the downtown Wi-Fi project in Hot Springs. The agenda item tonight is requesting $15,000 from the grant that addresses the digital divide and homework gap be allotted to the Mars Hill Anderson Rosenwald School Rehabilitation Project. The request is being made based upon a recommendation from the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. Here to provide you additional information on the request is Mr. Bill Holmes, who serves as the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources Assistant Secretary of Outreach and Rural Programming. Mr. Holmes?
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. So thank you folks for having me here tonight. My name is Bill Holmes. I'm Assistant Secretary at the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. We have been working in partnership with the North Carolina Department of Information Technology to do a better job of trying to connect small and rural communities to the internet. The way that we have come at this is to try to find places to start with, to try to find some places of cultural or historical significance, and to try to connect those places to make sure they had a connection. So Madison County was the only county that received 2 grants. Each was for $50,000. One we asked be implemented in Hot Springs, and that be used to help build a downtown Wi-Fi system in Hot Springs because of the trail coming through there. The second one, we have been working with Marshall to try to figure out some ways to make that work here, but along the way, working with Ms. Wyatt and her group, we heard of a need to connect the Rosenwald School to the outside. I understand the school system is going to provide connection to the school. What we have suggested is that this money be used to help equip the inside, computers, iPads, other sort of digital displays, so that when people visit there, they can research, they can connect to the outside world, they can make the best use of that space. So this money's already been granted. It's sitting in your coffers, and we just ask that you consider moving it over to this project. We think it's an important cultural project. Again, it's the only one of its type in the western quarter of the state, and I think it's going to get a lot of use in the years to come. So thank you for having me. I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Tonight I'm requesting the Madison County Commissioners approve the following resolution, which reads, Madison County Resolution. Resolution approving the contribution of $15,000 to the Mars Hill Anderson Rosenwald School. Whereas the Madison County Commissioners believe that closing the digital divide, particularly through education within Madison County, is a critical component to improve the quality of life for citizens. Whereas the state's Department of Natural and Cultural Resources and the Department of Information Technology approached Madison County with a $50,000 grant to address the digital divide in Madison County in 2019. Whereas the goal of the program is to address the homework gap for school students who do not have internet access at home. And whereas Madison County is home to the Mars Hill Anderson Rosenwald School, which is a historically African American school that was built in 1928 and has been preserved through a partnership of Madison County School System and the historic Mars Hill Anderson Rosenwald School Rehabilitation Committee. And whereas the Rehabilitation Committee is actively working to develop programs to provide information on the history of African Americans in Madison County. And whereas the state's Department of Natural and Cultural Resources and Madison County's Community and Economic Development Department recognize that funds from the grant that addresses the digital divide can be used to provide digital literacy training and provide equipment, including but not limited to computers, tablets, and monitors for improved access and connectivity to the internet. Now therefore be it resolved by the Madison County Commissioners that the Madison County Commissioners approve of providing $15,000 to the Marcel Anderson Rosenwald School project via Madison County Schools, Madison County Education Foundation, from funds received from the North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. Read, approved, and adopted the 10th day of March 2020. Please note, this resolution has been edited due to the fact that this agenda item was originally slated to be heard on February 11, 2020. However, I was out of town attending an Appalachian Leadership Institute session. I'm providing you each with a revised resolution. Are there any questions on the resolution or the request for funding?
John?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we appropriate the funds that we have available for this purpose.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor, right hand?
Thank you. The next item of business is the Madison County Manufacturing Art Park. In 2017, the Madison County received a grant from the Community Foundation of Western North Carolina to install a manufacturing art park along Dr. W. Otis Duff Greenway in Mars Hill. The manufacturing art park seeks to do the following: create an outdoor art gallery to enliven the rural landscape, create a dynamic visual experience for residents and visitors, create more venues for public art in Madison County, connect the manufacturing history to an economic development future, and provide a cultural designation for tourists. For the past 2 years, the Madison County Economic Development Board and staff have actively worked to attract regional artists to respond to requests for proposals. The inaugural manufacturer that was selected to be honored as part of the Madison County Manufacturing Park project was Advanced Super Abrasives. They are known as the industry standard for diamond cutting wheels and dressing sticks. The 2017 winning sculpture was created by Asheville, North Carolina-based artist David Shelton. His entry entitled The Mars Cutter was selected through the competitive jury process. His sculpture was installed along the Manufacturing Art Park in July of 2018. The second manufacturer that was selected to be honored was PrintPack. PrintPack is a national leader in developing innovative and flexible packaging. Their products help to save lives by aiding instructions in their efforts to maintain clean products for medical providers' usage. The 2019 winning sculpture was created by Ms. Mary Rudin from Seymour, Texas. The sculpture is entitled Timekeeper. The 2020 manufacturer is Peerless Blowers. The RFP for this year's initiative was published on March 6, 2020. The goal is to have the winning artist identified no later than April 24, 2020, and the artwork installed by August 31st, 2020. The unveiling ceremony will be planned for the week of September the 8th through 11th, 2020. Are there any questions regarding the manufacturing art park honoree or schedule? There's no request for a resolution to be passed. The money's already been designated, and you've already approved that years ago.
Thank you.
The next item for your consideration is the Madison County Economic Development Strategic Plan, and I will need approval for this plan. In 2010, Madison County civic leaders created and adopted the Madison County Comprehensive Plan, which focused on planning for the future, growth, and development of the county. The plan was developed by the staff of the Land and Sky Regional Council As part of the planning process, a steering committee was created to assist with guiding the work of the Land of the Sky Regional Council and encouraging residents of Madison County to participate in the planning process. In 2017, the Madison County Commissioners partnered with the Department of Commerce's Rural Economic Development Divisions, North Carolina Main Street and Rural Planning Center to update the economic development efforts of Madison County. The North Carolina Main Street and Rural Planning Center appointed 3 staff members to assist with the development of the Madison County strategic planning process. The individuals assisted with coordinating, convening, and facilitating steering committee meetings along with Madison County's economic development and planning staff members. The planning process began in January of 2017. However, there was an 11-month delay from October 8, 2018 until September 2019 due to the staff transitions within the Economic Development Department. In September 2019, the process was renewed and additional committee members were added. The steering committee members received presentations on the following areas: advanced manufacturing, food and agriculture, outdoor recreation, housing, music, art, and creative economy, and workforce development. And on Tuesday, February 25th, 2020, the Madison County Commissioners, Madison County Economic Development Board, Madison County Economic Development Strategic Planning Committee met to discuss the draft Economic Development Strategic Plan. After the staff's presentation and the meeting attendees' discussion, it was recommended that the Madison County Commissioners formally adopt the Madison County Economic Development Strategic Plan at its March 10, 2020 meeting. The plan has 3 components that address the Madison County's economic development future. The components are growth and development with the following goal: to develop and implement a vision for planned growth and development. Number 2, economic development with the following goal: to support the creation of increasingly diverse and employment opportunities that provide livable wages. And number 3, community development with the following goal: to develop, maintain, and expand initiatives that increase the quality of life for the residents and visitors of Madison County. The detailed plan is in your packet. I do want to thank the staff of the North Carolina Department of Commerce Rural Economic Development Divisions, North Carolina Main Street and Rural Planning Center for their assistance, Madison County Commissioners, volunteers who served on the Economic Development Advisory Boards, Strategic Planning Committee, and the staff for their assistance. I am requesting that the Madison County Commissioners adopt the resolution that's included in your packet.
Gentlemen, we had a good meeting with the Economic Board, and we've heard it again here. Do I have a motion to approve the strategic plan?
Make a motion.
Sure.
Second.
Motion. Second. Discussion? All in favor, right? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you for this opportunity to serve.
Gonna go on, brother.
Let's see. I don't see her. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. We have February 2020 tax releases and refunds. We need a motion to approve those, and I answer any questions we should have.
Gentlemen, they're in your package as always. I know you've already had a chance to look them over, but take another minute, and if you have any questions, please. Sir? Okay. May I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve them as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay. Our next agenda item is Carrie Ledford, our finance officer. Good evening. Carrie.
Good evening, Terry.
Hello, Carrie.
Before you, you have budget amendment number 8. A lot of the amendment that you see is correcting to actual expenses for our email service provider. Fluctuating staff at various departments have incurred costs greater than initially budgeted. Each email address that is assigned to each employee costs the county $6.90 a month. So when you have an employee coming in and work half a month and leave, then you have to pay that email address for that employee the entire month, as well as picking up the new employee coming in. So that's some of the fluctuating costs here. Also, in the amendment, you'll see an increase in the DSS budget. The original revenue amount was based on state estimates, and we now have received an increase in crisis intervention funds, whereby increasing the funding for the crisis intervention programs. This amendment totally allows for an additional amount of $3,285 to be added to the capital outlay account. And this amendment has no effect on the amount of funds in our contingency account.
Mr. Chair, I move budget amendment 8 be approved as submitted.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Thank you.
Next is February's financial reports. We are at 66.64% of our budget at the end of February. The total of all the funds through the end of February shows that we are at 58.52 of our revenues and at 61.94 for our expenses. So our expenses are down some for this time of year.
That's a good thing.
Very good thing.
You feel comfortable where we are?
Yes, I do.
Awesome.
Chairman, if there be no questions, I move we approve as submitted.
Second.
We don't normally do it.
Okay.
We don't
My
normally.
bad.
We don't. No, that's fine.
safe than
Well,
sorry.
we're just we're good there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Carrie.
Our final item is our new county manager, Mark Pulliam. We're glad he's here. Call him if you need him. Call him first before you call us.
Call the chairman.
Yeah, call
Call
him.
the chairman.
He is a very sociable person. Call him first. So,
Thank you.
He likes early morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I do welcome calls, so if you have anything I can help you with, I'll be glad to do so. I've had an interesting first week, and I've enjoyed meeting a lot of new people in the community as well as department heads. And I'd like to take just a moment to thank the Board of Commissioners for having a vote of confidence and asking me to serve as the new county manager. And I'd like to also personally thank each one of you for the support you've given me in the transition. But I'd like to extend a heartfelt thanks to Norris for taking the time to introduce me to many members of the community, showing me different places in the county that I need to know where they are. And so I really do appreciate the heartfelt and warm welcome that I've received from everybody, quite honestly. Thank you. Got a couple of quick items that I'll just touch base on. As you know, at the March election that we just had, the voters approved a referendum, if you will, an advisory referendum on the sales tax. And in order for the sales tax to be levied, we have to pass a resolution, a board does, which authorizes the state of North Carolina Department of Revenue to actually collect the tax. And so we are planning, the chairman has called a meeting till March 31st. And of course, we'll go through all the necessary steps to get the resolution passed. The other part of this, though, is that the tax will not begin until July 1st, assuming everything is approved, and it will be. So the tax will begin July 1st, but the checks will not start coming in until September. So just to kind of give you guys a heads up of how that
Checks in the
works.
mail.
We will get all of the tax dollars that are collected, but it's a little slower than you might imagine. But I have spoke with the Department of revenue at this point in juncture. They've already started the project, and so they're already getting the plans in place to begin collecting the tax on July 1st. Having said that, the last thing I will talk about really tonight, unless you have something you want to ask me, is a budget update. We have sent out budgetary information to all the county departments, asking them to submit their budget request to the county manager by March the 27th. And after that, we will begin the process of reviewing those budgets with department heads and with you, and laying out the recommendations so that you'll have a recommended budget in May, and you'll be able to adopt a budget in June, first of the state law. So those are the things that we're working on. I'm really proud to be here. I thank everybody very much.
Glad you're here. Gentlemen, that concludes our agenda. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
Chairman,
Second discussion. I didn't think there would be. All in favor? Here we go. All right. Y'all be safe out there. Wash your hands.
Yeah. Wash your hands.